Hello everyone, my name is Marion, and I'm once again joined by my good friend Linn.
Hello, hello.
And welcome back to another episode of Reading Reddit Stories, the show where we read Reddit stories. I'm sticking with that intro, we're not re-recording that.
Okay.
Anyways, so today's episode is going to be about parenting. Now, neither of us are parents, but we have parents.
A parent.
Mm-hmm. But anyways,
slap my face on someone giving the thumbs up.
Today we're going to be reading parenting stories. I have 3 stories, one from r/parenting, one from r/momit, and one from r/daddit. So and who knows, there might be a 4th story depending on how long we spend talking about these very specific stories. So maybe there will be a bonus story, maybe there won't be. I don't know. Maybe I'll cut this part out of the video if that doesn't end up happening. Anyway.
You never know.
You never know. So, without further ado, I suppose let's get into it. This is probably the quickest intro that we've probably done in a very long time, because usually we go off onto other tangents, but...
Yeah. Well, let's keep it that way. Let's jump into it.
Alright, let's just jump into it. Alright. So this first story comes from r/parenting, and this was posted 6 days ago. And the title is called, Am I Wrong Here?
Oh, God, it's already. I'm getting... itchy. Yeah.
I think that's just the mosquitoes.
Well, surprisingly enough, I haven't seen a mosquito yet up here. But, yep. Let's continue.
For context, I want to say this before we get into this story. For context, I've been dealing with mosquitoes and bird mites at my house, and I've been in hell for the past few days.
Yes, and again, I don't know any way to help you.
Anyways, I got rid of the nest. By the way, when I say I get rid of the nest, I got rid of it once the birds... Because when bird mites start biting you, it's because they... we don't need to talk about it. Anyway.
Yeah, just cut this part out.
You're right. Okay, let's get into it. This child is 4 to 9 years old. That's a specification they have on r/parenting. Don't really know too much about it, but yeah, let's get into it. I, 37-year-old male, am having a hard time with an aspect of handling my emotions whenever a situation happens. I'll give the most recent example. My 4-year-old female kiddo is awesome. She is everything I want in a kid. But like all kids, sometimes she does things accidentally that she doesn't know is not the correct way. My wife, 37-year-old female, is saying that I'm going to give her trauma with how I respond. The most recent situation, she was playing a game on my phone with me, and my wife was there. I wasn't paying attention because I was talking to my wife, and she used a really rare item I only had one of. I can't get another one without playing several hours, which I don't play video games that much due to being a dad. When I noticed she did that, I responded in an, "Aw man, did you use the gold item?" I was really bummed, and my voice betrayed it. No anger, I didn't take the phone, nor punish her. I let out a sigh and ran my hand through my hair. My emotion, I would say, was really bummed. My kiddo did look like she knew she messed up, but not scared, more like the same look when she spills. Before I could do what I thought was the next step, which was to teach her what the items do and how to use them, my wife started telling me that I was overreacting. I instantly felt like my emotions didn't matter, and she said that I shouldn't respond that way due to the kiddo not knowing. I responded with, "I'm allowed to have emotions." She said at the expense of creating trauma. I then did what I was planning to do and teach the kiddo what the items do. She understood and she kept playing and doing it the way I showed her. But afterwards, I kinda shut down towards my wife. I felt that she correcting me and downplaying my emotions was too much. I asked her to next time wait till it plays out, and if an issue occurs, we can talk about it later. She is adamant on instantly addressing my emotions if she feels it's out of line. This happened 2 times in the last few weeks. I think it's perfectly fine to show my kiddo what she did bummed me out, even if it was an accident. I felt I didn't punish, yell, or do anything that could lead to trauma, but my wife seems to think that I am not seeing it. Is there a book or something that can help me understand what I am doing and how to address this?
Buddy, are you sure you just said "oh man"? Because that type of reaction is kind of out there.
Like, from the way I'm reading this, like, for me, like, if I'm gonna take this up front, then I think it's like, if he truly was just kind of like, well, that sucks, and then showed her the correct way to do it, then it's like, okay. Like, personally for me, if my dad did that to me, if anything, I wouldn't remember that, like in a bad way. I would remember that in a good way, you know, because it's like, oh, my dad taught me
Yeah,
that.
that's a learning experience, and if anything, a bonding experience.
Yeah.
And if that's how this actually played out, then maybe talk to your wife a bit more into things, because this could also be playing off of, is this your first kid? Because the first child can be something, and especially a girl,
Hmm.
for a mother, or at least most mothers.
Yeah.
I know when my mother had me, her mother was very excited. It was like a very special thing. But also look into her background, because she could have had some sort of trauma that she just doesn't want her girl to have, and could be an overprotective type of thing. In that case, you two both want to talk that out.
Yeah. It's if it's like if this is their first kid, I think it probably is their first kid. I would get why the wife would be like if like I said, taking this story up front, I would understand why the wife would react to this way, as it's like, you know, it's their first kid. They don't really know too much, but um, I do think that like as far as this situation goes, I think he handled it pretty all right. If this is the because
Yeah.
that's the thing about these types of stories that
Yeah.
we're
Like
only
these types of
yeah.
stories where the one side is so mellow while the other side's basically freaking out. Either you didn't, maybe you misheard her, and in the moment you just heard what you wanted to hear, or maybe you reacted a bit more intensely, or yeah, than you meant to.
Hmm. It's because with these types of stories, you only are getting one person. You're only getting one POV, you know, and it's coming from this guy. And we don't know. The thing is, that it's kind of like the same thing with like ghost stories, where it's like a person can tell you a ghost story, but like if you don't trust that person too much, you won't necessarily really, you know, really you would take the story with a grain of salt, you know, because it's like this person is known to
Yeah,
lie. With this guy, we know nothing about him, you know,
yeah.
and that goes with any
We don't
story.
know. Yeah, and maybe he's lashed out at the kid without realizing it before, and maybe because of that, the mom's become a bit more protective of the child.
Hmm. But if this story is exactly how he wrote it, then I would say yeah, the wife is in the wrong because it's like like I said, like personally for me, I wouldn't look back on this story with any sort of like trauma response as a person who's had a multitude of different types of things like that happen to like much harsher things happen to me back in the day.
Hmm.
I would look back on the story with very fondly, if anything, that like one time as a kid I messed up and my father taught me like, hey, my father got upset about it, but like not like that, you know, and like showed me like the way of how to do things. It's a learning experience, is what I'm trying to say, you
Yeah,
know. And so I wouldn't,
and
yeah,
if this did go the way that it did, that you say it did, then I would have just a you and me time with your wife and talk about this. Just be like, hey, I don't see where I went wrong with our kid.
yeah,
Yes, I understand you're being protective here, but also she will need proper discipline in the future. And I think we'd both rather it be more of a learning opportunity than a bad experience.
yeah. Yeah, because it would be so much worse if it was like he had yelled at her or something like that. But it was very clear it wasn't like that whatsoever. At least from what, like I said, at least from what this story says, you know.
Yes.
So, yeah. This isn't on r slash am I
And
the asshole, but like I would say, or I mean, it is a am I wrong here type of thing. So I guess it could go
honestly,
into r
I don't
slash am I
even
wrong.
think it's an asshole thing. I just think it's a misunderstanding. I think that they need to talk, because in the future this will become a problem.
Yeah,
Let's be honest here. If C becomes overprotective of a kid and they can't co-parent properly, then that will become a problem.
yeah,
And I do agree that you acknowledge someone's behaviors after they've handled something,
yeah,
not during. As awful as it can be sometimes, I do believe you want to see where something goes before you go to the gun.
yeah. So yeah, I would say, like I said, if this is pretty much exactly how it went down as he was written, then yeah, he's not in the wrong here. Really, like yeah, he should talk to his wife and be like, hey, you know, like I don't really see how I went wrong here, really whatsoever. If anything, I think like I really do think that if that's how he handled the situation, I think he did it pretty well because he showed like, hey, this Like he showed the fact to his daughter that like this is something that upset me, and then he taught her the right way to do it, and she was like, oh okay, and then it was just kind of like a learning experience. I said that already before, but it's a learning experience. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't really know because it's not really sitting well with me. It's more or less, I don't know, it's the reaction, the fact that it's a 4-year-old. Like, I get these days 4-year-olds are smarter than what I grew up with. But it's something's not right with this one.
yeah. On the subject of like smart 4-year-olds, I remember I was watching Smosh's like reading Reddit stories, and Shane like did a thing where like the iPad kids like at restaurants and stuff. Just imagine they were like scrolling through Reddit too on like when you're at like a Chili's, and it's just like you just hear the kid go, asshole, not the asshole.
I have been lucky enough not to see that in public or on my For You, luckily enough. The sad thing is, I have seen people, those people that go to grocery stores and, okay, side note here, sorry,
You're good.
but how grapes and cherries are packaged, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple weeks ago, me and my mom went to Aldi's, a food
Mm-hmm.
market, and we were going through the fruit section, and we saw this guy looking through cherries, and at first it looked normal until we noticed that he had emptied out a bag and was literally cherry picking the cherries
Oh.
by hand without a mask or anything while he was having sudden coughing fits.
No. Just
There's stuff you see on the internet that it can be a thing, but you hope you never see it in person. When you do, you just lose a little bit of sanity.
yeah, it's one of those things where like you see it and you're like, oh, that can never that's something like that could never really happen to me, and then it happens to you and you're just like, oh shit, okay, you know.
I don't even say that. It's like I don't know if this says how little faith I have in humanity, but this is like you see, and it's like motherfucker. I was hoping this wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
Come on, why'd you gotta prove the other side right?
yeah, but all right. I think we can move on to the next story now then.
Yeah.
All right, so this next story comes from Momit, and it's also a little bit of a doozy.
Oh God.
So this one's now the last one I would say wasn't really that much of a doozy from what we know
Like
of.
like from a scale from 1 to 10.
Or for this story,
No, like for both of them. Like where would you rate the last story? Because I'd probably put out a 4.
I'd put it at like a 3 because it wasn't necessary. There was nothing there that made me really go like ooh, like oh, and there was nothing there that made me go like holy shit. It was just kind of like a oh, all right, that sucks.
Yeah, like I'd say I'd keep it at a 5 for me because like there's still that uneasy something's not quite right here.
Yeah,
But like
yeah, especially since he started the story like I'm not good at handling my emotions very much, so I'm like
yeah, like especially when he said what's my call? Especially when it described how the wife reacted and how he was just like, oh man.
mm-hmm.
Like when you start a story like that and then that goes down, nah. But anyway, I'd keep that at 5.
I would say this story is definitely kind of like a 6 or a 7. But
Oh
actually
dear.
no, for your scale, because for my scale, I put that last story at a 3. This story would be at like a 6, or it would still be at a 6 or a 7 actually.
Oh God. Ah,
So yeah,
let's do this.
all right. So this story comes from r/Momit, and it's called "Family Keeps Commenting on Baby's Skin Tone."
Why? Why didn't we already cover something along this?
Yeah.
Didn't Okay.
All right. I'm just at a loss on how to handle it at this point. My husband and I are both very pale Caucasians of uninteresting European descent. We both had blonde hair and blue eyes as children. Our baby is almost olive skin and was born with thick, dark hair. Genetics are weird, I suppose. I'm chalking it up to her not being a nutrient deficient, antisocial vampire like us. Yet. Every time a family member sees her, they comment on how dark she is, though. I usually laugh it off, but it seems like they're still in disbelief after months, or maybe they're just fishing for some non existent explanation. I don't think they have bad intentions, but it really makes me feel awkward, and I think everyone needs to move on already. There's only so many times I can joke that she must actually be the mailman's, milkman's, Amazon delivery drivers, etc., before we start to run out of underpaid
Uh,
service workers to blame this on. I do feel like.
don't even joke about that.
Yeah. I do feel like treating it as anything more than a silly joke. For example, confronting them about it will feed into the issue, though. Does anyone here have similar experiences or advice?
I have known friends of my mom's who have had children who have been way off from their skin tones, eye color, hair color, and all that. And it is genetics.
Yeah.
Like, you can have genetics from your great great grandmother coming for your child. Like, if you want me to put an example as far as like bone structure goes, I have my grandfather's face structure, not my father's or my mother's.
Yeah.
It's strictly on my grandfather's side. And same strong brown hair, brown eyes, all that from a other side that should have been more dominant in the gene pool, but wasn't.
Hmm.
Because you can have other genes from other family members that can be stronger and win out.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, it is literally just a fight while things are going on in there.
Hmm.
If you want all the ovens on, it's literally a fight for all the other ingredients to find their place and
Yeah.
put it together.
Yeah. Um, it's definitely like I would get it at first, like where it's like when the baby's first there, it's like kind of like a whoa, I guess. I guess I
Yeah,
would.
and they didn't say they didn't say she was like dark dark. It was only like olive.
Yeah, like she has dark hair and is like olive skinned, and she has very
Okay,
thick dark hair too.
and here's the thing: you can also have strong iris genes, like I've told you this, but you can also come out with a trait that actually snuffs out those genes, like the freckles, the red hair, the blue or green eyes,
Yeah.
or even just the pale ass skin. Like, as far as I go, I definitely won out with the pale skin, but all those other traits I didn't get.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like I would like I said, I would understand if it was like I would understand like the first like maybe like week or so when the baby first like comes out or whatever. I would understand like the family members kind of having like a oh type of reaction, but when it's like months later and they're still bringing it up, it's like okay, that's enough now. It
Yeah,
would.
and at that point, I wouldn't even joke about feeding into them, like making those jokes about the milkman stuff, because at this point, if they're still riled up about that, then they're looking for something. You don't want to fuel the fire.
It seems like she said that they are. It seems like as if they're fishing for some non-existent explanation of like trying to see if there was some type of like infidelity involved. But if there isn't, then it's like okay, well then you guys are just kind of prodding around at her on this at this baby essentially for just not coming out looking exactly like her like the parents, if you will.
And here's the thing: if these grandparents are so entitled to that, they're gonna find something. And it might be the most insignificant thing ever, but it'll be something.
Hmm.
And as that kid gets older, if you do feed into it or if you do confront them at this point, I wait until later on down the line and maybe to be safe. And this isn't a jab at you or your husband, but get a blood test done, a
Hmm.
DNA test or whatever. Not to say that you did something wrong, but to be able to throw at your grandparents or whatever, your fucking godparents or
Or family. It
whatever the
says it
hell
says family members, so I guess it's just all of
family.
them.
Well, get because here's the thing: DNA testing. It's not just a oh I cheat on you. Here's the proof, or I didn't. Here's the proof. It's also a stop coming at me for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then as that kid gets older, and if these family members hang around this, then they're going to start targeting the kid. They're gonna
Yeah.
start saying these little sly remarks while they're at the table. They're gonna say, "Oh, isn't it funny how you look more like your friend's parents than your mom's? Why is your hair so brown?
Yeah.
You look nothing like your mom or dad." And those are gonna get to the girl or boy. It's gonna get to them, and it's gonna make them really think.
Yeah.
We see where this is going, basically.
Yeah.
My advice: get the DNA test or whatever,
Yeah.
just so you have that paper if your family members don't set up in a year or two.
Yeah. It's it's rather disappointing to see stuff like this happen, because like I understand infidelity is very much a thing, obviously, but at the same time, it's like that also doesn't mean that genetics doesn't just happen to like that also means doesn't mean that genetics isn't a thing that happens, where things like this can happen, So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a shitty situation, I would say. Yeah, so yeah, to the person out there, I hope things get better when that for the person out there who posted this. I hope that things get better for you, and hopefully someday you can throw this back in their faces and be like, yes, this is our child. So
And hopefully that'll be soon. Like I know things like that are expensive these days, but at the same time, it'll save your kid's sanity and your sanity
yeah.
down the long run.
But at the same time, it's like even if they were to if they were to take like the DNA test, a part of me thinks that like the family members would still like react in a weird way, trying to be all like, but what if you faked it or things like that. I would start feeding into them a little bit more. I don't know. I guess that's just
Well,
the
you
doubt
can
part of
get
me.
certain receipts and you can have the doctor vouch. And also, if they're gonna fucking flip the fucking paper into a fire and be like, "Oh, well, those are only like 90% right," then they want to ruin something. And those are the type of people you just cut out of your life because they're not worth it.
Yeah.
They're
So
stubborn little pricks that are gonna fucking latch onto everything they can.
yeah. So I hope that things get better, but otherwise, let's move on to the next story.
Yep.
Okay, so this next story comes from r/daddit, and yeah, the title is called "The War on Boys."
Oh, Lord, love a duck.
At my son's first birthday party, my dad observed me playing with him and said, "I never played with you like that." I don't know. I was afraid to be silly. I guess I didn't feel like I was allowed to be. He was right.
Ah,
He never played with us. Then my
yeah, I
son
wonder why.
Then my son toddled up to me and gave me a big kiss. I gave him a kiss back and told him how much I loved him. My dad then quietly said, "I'm sorry I wasn't more demonstrative of my love for you." But my
Oh!
but my dad, Papa, he shook his head. Papa was never affectionate. Him. He just stays in his recliner. He loved us, but he didn't really show it. Maybe I didn't either. I assured him that we never doubted that he loved my brother and me, but he was right. He was never affectionate. Later he says, "Good luck raising a boy nowadays. There's a war on boys, all this talk about toxic masculinity and crap." I said, "Dad, just this afternoon you told me that you were afraid to be silly and play with us because how you might be perceived, and that you didn't know how to show affection because your dad never gave it to you. What do you think toxic masculinity is referring to?" He looked at me, astonished. "Is it that?" I said, "Yeah, Pop, that's it." He,
Oh, God!
he then went, "Oh, I guess that's okay then. Love your boys, dads. Be silly with them. And don't forget to show them how much you care. We'll raise a better generation than our parents and theirs did." That was a nice story.
That went from, yeah, no shit, I wonder where that came from, to, holy shit, you're actually seeing the error of your ways. Oh my god, are you the same person?
Yeah, it's very
Who
weird.
are you?
I love this story though because it very much like it's you think at first like it's like because then you're thinking, okay, it seems like this dad's like showing the error of his ways, and then he says the toxic masculinity crap, and you're like, oh man. And then the I guess the son, but he's also a dad as well, the OP I should say, explains it to him, and he's like, "Oh, that's what it is. Oh, then yeah, Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you keep going then. It's it's one of those few times of where like a person who you would think is rather closed-minded ends up opening their mind a bit and being like, "Oh, wow, I never thought about it that way," you know?
This story is not computing.
I could tell a bit
What?
because you I guess you did you not like expect the dad to actually like loop back around?
No. This no.
Lynn is in shock, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people alike.
A stuck-up man realized his ways. What? This feels wrong. Am I in the right room?
I
Am
think
I?
so. Unless you're in the closet, then like you probably should get out and just sit on your bed.
Technically it's June. I'm not supposed to be out in the closet. Yeah, no, I got evicted out of the closet today, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's June, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I.
Damn.
What's funny is I'm like I did record a video earlier. I think I told you this already that I recorded a video earlier this week, because I realized that I was like, oh shit, the first video I put out for Pride Month was the homophobic parent story, and I was like,
What video to start out the month?
yeah, I was just like, like it's not a bad story. I mean, it's bad as far as the mom goes, but as far as the dad goes, it's pretty damn good. But like, it's one of those that makes you go like, I see. Maybe I should have thought of that first.
Honestly, there's so much going on this last month. I don't think any of us knew what day it was.
Yeah. So, which is why then eventually I recorded another video. It's kind of a funner video for like to upload maybe sometime like I guess this week, since technically this video is going up on Monday. So maybe this week or maybe next week. Who knows? When you're watching this, or maybe it's already out and you're watching this in the future or something.
Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe I'll have 1 million subscribers by then. I'm not gonna bet
Oh
on. I'm
wow.
not gonna bet on that. But yeah, I really like this story actually. It's a nice growing story, and it kind of broke you a bit.
Again, if I it's just put the buffer thing over my pop up. Just I what?
I'll put the noise, like the dial-up internet noise from the '90s too.
I just have my pop up slowly zooming in on screen. Just like what? What? No, no, that's not how it goes. This is wrong. No,
That's how you reacted when you found out my real
people
name.
redemption. This is
Okay, hold up.
someone
There's a
find the
motorcycle
error
gang.
of vroom vroom.
This is bullshit. Every time we record, some motherfucker, either there's a plane that goes by, a helicopter, or some dumbass thinks, oh, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna rev my engine super late at night. Yeah, fuck you.
At least it's not the cricket.
Now there's an airplane going by. This is bullshit. Bruh!
Don't worry, the dial-up tone has covered everything up.
I probably already turned it off by now. Now the cricket's going off too.
God damn.
Okay, so now we're on to the next story. Like I said before, there may or may not have been a fourth story because, the video may or may not have been long enough, and so we have another story from r/parenting, and this one was posted over 29 minutes ago. So
Oh.
it's very, very recent, and it is called "Our Kid Will Not Sleep." So let's get into it. We have a 4.5-year-old girl that does not want to go to sleep. We don't have a schedule for her every day that is the exact same, but we're realistic and do the best we can. Things change. We start bedtime around 6:30 every night. 6:30 seems a little early, don't you think?
How old is the kid?
4.5. So yeah, no, that's a little early.
Yeah. No. Because children. Here's the thing.
She's going to sleep. She's going to sleep in the daylight during like this time right now too, since it's summer.
Yeah, that's actually pretty normal. I know most of the parents that I know do that for their kids.
They make their kids go to bed at 6:30.
Yep, 6:30 or 8.
I would say like 8 o'clock. I understand, but 6:30, like those people are like secretly evil or some shit. Anyways,
Also depends on when the kid needs to get up for school and daycare.
yeah, but like, why the fuck would the kid have to go to bed at 6:30 to get up for school like around like 7?
And also, you don't know if the kid still gets up in the middle of the night. Like, she could be having problems.
I guess.
But if there's already problems with her sleeping, maybe you need to wing the time down a little bit.
Yeah,
And it is proven studies that children need
12
like
hours.
long, yeah, and
Yeah.
including preteens and tweens. They all need their sleep up until like even 23, I believe.
Well, then we're
Like
both
it's
failing. We are both
like
failing.
fuck the naps count, man.
I
It's
mean,
like full
from
only passing out count.
from what I've researched, they've said, okay, well, cricket's back. I guess we'll just have to deal with them for now. For those who don't know,
Okay.
we had to cut for a little bit to deal with the fact that because the last time you guys had seen us, we were screaming about airplanes and everything, and cricket came by and was making a ton of noise. But I guess he's back now, so we're just
Yeah,
gonna have to deal with him.
do we have to tag the cricket?
No,
Does do you think the cricket just has some social media and wants to join us?
if it does, I'm not promoting it.
Okay, people. So we're just going to ignore Marion's little friend.
He's not my friend. It's like that one scene in like Teen Titans where like they say like, "Oh, go with your girlfriend," and Robin just goes, "She's not my girlfriend," and she's like, "I am not a girl nor your friend," and it's like, But anyways, moving on. We literally only got like a few sentences into the story. Um. Anyways, we start bedtime around 6:30 every night though, and every night it's the same thing. Tubby, Jamie's color for what the fuck? Oh, it's TV. TV Jammies. Okay. And every night it's the same thing. Tubby, aka television, jammies, pajamas, color, or quiet play for 15 minutes, then 2 books and bedtime. Our 1.5-year-old will go to sleep quickly, and not always easily, but that's not the problem. It's our oldest. It's like after jammies, she turns into a fiend and goes absolutely ballistic. We've tried everything, even the rough housing.
Zoomies.
Yeah, even the rough housing, because we saw somewhere on Instagram that kids like that need to release whatever in order to chill out. My wife and I are desperately trying to find some alone time at night because during the day it is 110 focused around the kids, but we never get the time we need at night. Anyways, our kid goes crazy, won't go into her room, asks for food, water, etc., 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 you name it. She apparently needs it at that time. It's like we starve her and don't let her drink water all day, which we do not. She eats and drinks well. I, the husband, cannot for the life of me get her down if mommy is home. I can only get her down if mommy is out of town or something, which is not often. If I take her into the room, she immediately tries to barge out, screaming bloody murder or whines and whines and makes all sorts of noises. Then we have my wife, God bless her, because she has to put her down every night eventually. But she's out of patience by the time of night anyways, so it's especially difficult for her. When she won't lay down and tries to run out of the room, it puts my wife over the edge. I feel helpless in those moments and it sucks. So basically, we have a kid who will not go to bed until around 10:30 to 11 p.m. consistently. She'll sleep till around 8 or 9, but she needs to get to bed earlier. Does anyone have any suggestions? My wife and I are having marital issues, and this is a huge reason why. I hate to even say, but it's true.
I'm thinking zoomies.
Yeah.
That is like some serious toddler zoomies. And here's the thing: she's at that point where she could also be having a growth spurt,
Yeah.
like a big one.
Well, yeah, she's around
Because
like
I
four and a
know,
half.
and then that's perfect time for our kids to start having a growth spurt.
Yeah.
I know one of our neighbors have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old maybe, and she's acting pretty. Well, I'm hearing she's acting pretty much the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not be surprised if this is zoomies mixed with a big growth spurt that's coming.
Yeah.
Because usually, I will admit, for me, these things, and from what I'm hearing for a lot of parents, these things happen at night,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or at least close to night.
Yeah.
So it could be that maybe she needs to be up for an extra hour. Maybe you need to find an activity because maybe it's not roughhousing that's her way of stimming. Maybe it's more coloring. Maybe it's a puzzle. Maybe it's hide and seek for all I know.
Yeah. Um. As far as we're not parents, so I don't really know how to do. Like from what you've said, it's like yes, it's Sumi's. But as far as how to like mitigate that, like yes, you can push back the bedtime, but otherwise, I don't really know any other solutions personally. And to give my own personal experience as a kid, I would go to bed like at like 1 a.m. when I was like 4 years old, and I turned out totally fine.
Yeah, and for me, my mom had awful work schedules, and heavens knows my father was never going to keep me around for those schedules, so I was with her most of the time.
Yeah.
So they would range from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
to the normal hours to 8 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., all the way to 6:30, 8.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd constantly change.
Was your mom's name
So,
Mike Schmidt?
no. No.
Just the silent. No.
But, and also, and all, words.
Yes.
In all seriousness, I have babysat children.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's a sock. I somehow did not punt them like a football.
Damn.
Just put a fucking edit of my character's face on some like football player is holding a baby.
I'll put it on top of this footage of a guy punting the world's largest gummy bear. And there's a car going by, you motherfuckers.
Vroom. Anyway, but
It's still going. All right, now you
yeah,
can go.
but I have babysat children before, and what I hear is like they have zoomies. Their sleep schedules change as they get older, but it's still important for them to get that long sleep.
Yeah.
And thing is, you guys are parents, and from the sounds of it, you're still new parents because these kids are only 2 years apart from the sounds of it.
One is 4.5 years old and one is 1.5 years old.
Okay, so they've been at it for like 2 years of parenthood.
Um, about like 2.5 or so. Then yeah.
Okay, well then they still have a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be condescending saying this because I know I don't have kids. I'm not planning on having kids.
Neither am I.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, what I've experienced from other people, things constantly change.
Yeah.
From kids getting sick, kids being born with genetic disorders that affect how they function. And yeah, it's going to take a toll on your marriage. Everything will.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of having kids. It's to really test that limit, too.
I suppose.
Most important thing you can do is just try to figure out. Because these days, kids are pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say there is some chance of reasoning with them. Maybe sit them down and actually try to talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the 1950s. Like children shouldn't like nowadays. It's children should be seen and heard instead of not seen and not heard. So.
Ah, gosh darn, Marianne. Can you set up the window cage again to let the baby air out?
Oh yeah. I got you. I
You
got
remember
you.
that thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. These days, and like, it's sad. I don't think kids should be this knowledgeable. I think they should be able to run around and be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But it does help to be able to sit down and talk to them. It does help to communicate.
Yeah. So yeah, that's. And there's a car again. Anyways, but yeah, I would say that like overall, well, first of all, stop trying to put the kids to bed at like 6:30. That's my first thing. Stop doing that. No, okay, just no. Like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, sure, but like 6:30, you're pushing it. No wonder they don't want to go to bed. So, yeah,
I think for up to 2 years, I think that is good because, like, I'm going to view this like puppies.
mm-hmm.
They wake up constantly.
I know.
They need to use the restroom. They need to be fed. All that.
Yep.
But up to 4, I do think that's when they're starting not kindergarten, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's when they're
Preschool.
starting kindergarten. That's when they're starting kindergarten, so then they need to learn what a schedule is, or at least the basics of I go to bed this time, I wake up this time. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't get a kid a to go book.
Otherwise, I guess I good luck to this user, I suppose. I do want to read the comments real quick just to see if there's any clarification for the 6:30 thing. Um, let's see here. What time is she waking up, even without a nap? This is awfully early bedtime for a 4.5-year-old with an extremely stimulating day. The user then responds, "We start bedtime at 6:30. Take a tubby for damn near an hour." Oh, they mean bath. Okay, so I
Baths
thought it
are
meant
also good for calming kids down. I know that helped me a lot as a child.
yeah. I thought they meant television. Oh well. For damn take a tubby for damn near an hour. So by the time jammies are on, she's in bed. It's close to around 8 to 8:30. Okay, it's because I was gonna and she wakes up around like 8 a.m. Okay, because I was gonna say like if you're putting your kids to bed at like 6 a.m. then or like by at like 6 p.m. then like there's a reason why
Okay,
they're not
so
falling bed. They're not falling
so
asleep.
6:30 is like the prep time.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. Like,
it's like Batman with his prep time.
but it does make sense to me.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm not we're not experts when it comes to kids, so when it comes down to it, I would
Just
say just try to find something that'll I guess calm them down the best, I suppose, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that was it for these parenting stories. I would say overall, I would say that I would say that these stories weren't too bad. We had the first story with the guy who said oh, I didn't I was just showing my daughter this and this, and then everybody was and we were kind of a little weary about it because of the way he worded the first like few sentences. The second story was the one about the unfortunate like how like people keep commenting about this woman's child's skin color, and then the third story was the actually pretty wholesome story, and then this story which was just kind of like an oh that sucks. So yeah, overall, this wasn't that bad of an episode. I feel like we've had much worse. We definitely have had much worse.
oh yeah,
Our last
absolutely.
episode
If
was
anything,
homophobia.
yeah. If anything, this was just like a casual sip of tea,
Yeah,
cold tea, not just. Not bad. I don't mind cold tea.
yeah. But I know that next week we'll be doing another one of those longer one-off story episodes. So that one will be probably a bit of a doozy. So that'll be a fun
Yeah,
time. So
lovely.
yeah, but anyways, thank you to everyone for watching this video. Lynn's stuff will be linked in the description below. Go and look at it. If you don't look at it, I'm going
I
to
swear, no, don't. No, one
be
video.
be
One video.
very upset,
Good. Thank you. I'm going to go now.
and I'm going to
I'll let
strangle
you
your
take care of the
parents.
rest of the. What was that? What was
Nothing,
that?
nothing. Anyways, so
Get back. Wait, where are you going? Where,
nothing,
Marion, get
nothing.
back here.
I gotta go.
Back
I
here.
gotta go. I gotta go. Bye.
You think that was good?
Anyways, that's pretty much it. I guess we'll see you. We'll see you again sometime soon. I guess we'll maybe see you again sometime soon, all of you. And remember, stay safe and sane. Bye.